Okay, I already did this fucking video, and apparently something went on with the audio where it was just getting spliced and cut and just stopped recording in random places. I don't know. I think it's partly because I did it in one long take, so I'm not gonna do that this time, but I am gonna make my responses a lot shorter because I can't be asked making the entire fucking video again. So, what are we doing? Well, we are responding to comments left on my last video, and for those who don't know, I made a video over here to Black Pigeon Speaks, dealing with a whole bunch of shit, and I triggered the fuck out of a whole bunch of people. So, let's just run through this real quick and find out where I went wrong. And by the way, you're gonna have to forgive me if my answers are kind of brief and snippy. It's just that, like, as I said, I've already fucking done this, and I was tired of doing it by the time I got to the end of it last time. So, that's why. So, first on the block, Google Plus. Fuck Google Plus. Hello, fuck Google Plus. Why would you even try to equate Christianity to Islam? I wouldn't, which is why I didn't. Moving on. Even leaving all the terrorism aside, look at any so-called civilized Islamic country and you'll see that honor killings are still legal. Okay, so when I point out to you that honor killings are not legal in Turkey, what do you then say? Is that then a problem with me defending Islam and equating shit and whatnot? Or was that a problem with you getting incredibly lazy with the language you're using and then making an argument which can be proved demonstrably false by simply pointing at Turkey? If you had made the same point, but rather than said any country, actually stuck to the country where you know the shit is legal and then presented your evidence for where the shit is legal, would I have had anything to say? Would I have offered any rebuttal at all? And while you ponder that, we'll move on to your next point. So is fucking children and marrying them. In fact, not fucking children is considered un-Islamic, and then you link to an article. Now, I don't know if you read that article, and I don't know if you're being shifty here, but when most people think of children, they think of children. And when people are highlighting laws and instances of fucked up shit in other countries, you'd assume it would be different elsewhere, especially in the countries where they reside. So imagine my surprise when I click on the article and I start reading, and the subject of the article is about how a faction in the Pakistani government have had to back away from trying to raise the legal age of marriage from 16 to 18. Now, for anyone who had a momentary lapse in concentration there, allow me to restate that. They failed raising the legal age of marriage from 16 to 18. This means the legal age of marriage for girls in Pakistan is still 16. Whilst most Western countries, the legal age of marriage is 18, almost every fucking country and every fucking state in America will allow you to marry at 16 if you have parental permission. And this begs the question, if this is legal everywhere, pretty much across the Western world, why is it held up as an example of how shitty Pakistan is, but not how shitty literally everywhere else is? Now, once again, is this me defending Islam, or is this me simply pointing out fucking facts that seem to contradict arguments? And again, if this is defending Islam, please point out a way that I can do this shit without defending Islam. Because believe it or not, I really don't have any interest in defending fucking Islam. Anyway, he continues. You just can't say they're equal. You just can't. Well, isn't it fortunate that I didn't? It is absolutely false and deliberately misleading. Wait, so hang on a minute. Me talking about how somebody else is being misleading by pointing out the fucking inaccuracies and shit in their arguments is somehow being misleading. You're gonna have to help me out on that one, motherfucker. Here's what happened when someone accused a woman of burning a fucking Quran. Okay, and then he linked me to an absolutely fucking gruesome video. Thanks for that, by the way. And now here comes the interesting bit. He finishes it off by saying, I'd like to see the equivalent from the Christian world if you could provide it. Right, so let me get straight. You start your comment by accusing me of equating Christianity to Islam, something I never fucking did, and you finish it by challenging me to equate Christianity to Islam. So the thing I never did, which apparently pissed you off, you now want me to do to somehow sate you. How the fuck does that work? Let's assume I go, all right, fine. Here is an article about Christians in Central Africa burning women at the stake for being witches. What then? What do you want to do then? Where does the conversation go from there? What do you want to start talking about which is actually worse? You want to start going, well, actually, you know what? Being burnt at a stake, it's not always cracked up to me because, I heard that the fumes and the smoke suffocates you before you actually die. So it's not technically being burned, it's more like being suffocated. And, being suffocated is fuck all compared to being ripped to death in the streets. To which I would then be forced to argue, oh, really? Well, you know what? I heard that if you inflict enough trauma on a human body, the human body just has a way of shutting that whole thing down. Like, what's the point? What is the point? Where do you want to go from there? And you see this, what I've just gone over? That's the reason why I didn't and wouldn't equate Christianity to Islam. Okay, and now comment number 2. We have, unauthorized expression. Et tu unauthorized. Anyway, he's saying, this comment is all about Islam, but after a few minutes of this video, I'm seeing this video isn't really about Islam, but it was mentioned. So, there is no need to lie about Islam. And you know what, unauthorized expression? I fucking agree with you. Yes, there you go, we're in complete agreement. There is no reason to lie about Islam because there is plenty of shitty stuff in Islam that you don't need to lie. Which is why it baffles the fuck out of me that so many people still feel the need to. And by extension, why it's important to point out when people are talking shit. Because if people keep talking shit about Islam, which is demonstrably untrue, and everyone who knows the shit that they're saying is untrue, it makes it a lot harder for people who aren't just talking complete and utter shit to kind of get heard and maybe do something about some of their concerns. The truth is more than enough. I agree. Unauthorized expression. I do. But I could have easily been him posting that picture I have in the past by accident. I don't know what picture you're talking about. You didn't. See, this is a problem. And then, by the way, this is a problem everyone has had. None of you are referencing shit like that I actually said or anything. You're not pointing me in a direction of where I've done something that I can go, oh, okay, they're talking about that. Well, let me explain further. No one's doing that. No one's doing that shit to me. All anyone's doing is fucking come into my comment section and just fucking spaghetti everywhere. I hope I won't get beheaded by the community for a mistake. Islam is the single most evil ideology that has ever existed. See, now, if I was to point out that, there was a lot of shit that existed before Islam, the places where Islam had to kind of take over, if I started pointing out some of the fucking practices of those people, would that be me defending Islam? If I was to say, for instance, how, human sacrifice was a pretty common thing and Islam pretty much cleared that away in a lot of places, would that be defending Islam? I don't know. I mean, because you say it's the most evil ideology that has ever existed, and I just can't help but think, like, even fucking in voodoo, people are still killing fucking albinos and eating them for their magical powers, but fuck, apparently Islam has won over them for some reason. I don't know. I mean, do I get dragged over fucking hot coals now for daring to compare voodoo to Islam? I don't know. I really don't know. I've lost all track at this point. I take this topic very seriously. I can tell. I swear, if I hear one more motherfucker try to justify what Islam is doing today by pointing out that Christians were just as bad in the fucking 1400s, that's not a subject of discussion that anyone's pointing out or doing here, so I don't know what you're talking about. If you can turn a computer on, you are too intelligent to use that non-argument. Well, that, my dear fellow, would largely depend on the argument itself. That is a perfectly valid counter to certain arguments, but none of them which we are having right now. So, moving on. I have no fear of being proven wrong. I'd kiss your feet if you can convince me that Islam isn't a serious threat. When did I give you the impression that I wanted that responsibility? When did I put myself forward for being the fucking ambassador of Islam? I mean, I don't know. I wish to God I knew that this was a thing when the triggering was going on, because I would have been all over that shit. Because I watched my videos back, and all I really did was point out that Muslims are fucking people, and it's just... I don't know, it's just... You'd think I was fucking advocating that we reform the fucking caliphate. I mean, seriously, it's fucking ridiculous. But, moving on to your second comment. By the way, I've just noticed there's apparently a cat war going on outside my fucking living room window. I don't know if it's going to be picked up in the mic, but if you do hear it, that's what it is. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, I'm not subbed to Black Pigeon, I hardly know of him, but it's really apparent that you have a personal beef with this guy. Really, motherfucker, really? What personal beef would I have with Black Pigeon that I wouldn't have had with fucking, like, Lacey Green or Davis Arini or fucking John Horse, any of these motherfuckers? Any of them. Why is personal beef suddenly a factor with this dude? You wanna know something? This video that I replied to is the only video of his that I've ever watched from start to finish. First time I came across him was a while ago, and it was a video where he's basically just shitting on women, and I was just like, alright, well, this is basically Sandman with higher production values. Thanks, but no thanks, and I moved on. Then I watched V, and I saw V did a response to him, and I saw V did a whole bunch of shit, and apparently, there seems to be a pattern with this guy, where apparently V had to do a video about the comments, and look at what I found myself fucking doing. Who would have thunk it? So after watching a few bits of videos where V was dealing with him, I clicked on his channel, went to his channel, and that's where I saw this thumbnail. So naturally, my curiosity peaked, and wouldn't you know it, it just happened to be one of the biggest clusterfucks of bullshit I have ever fucking seen in my life, so I felt the need to respond. If you think that constitutes personal beef, then fine, I have fucking personal beef, but frankly, I don't see it. Moving on. Fuck you did it. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about with Islam. You are the second... By the way, I just want you to know, the first time I read this shit, I was laughing my fucking ass off. And that's not to be insulting, but it is an indication of how far off the mark you are that all I could really do was laugh. And there's really very little to say about any of this, because it is just... Like, well, I'll carry on. You are the second person I really like on YouTube that has stuck their dick in their mouth about Islam. Why am I irritated? Very good question, dude. Very good question. Islam is evil as fuck. You do not understand Christianity or religion. I'm atheist, but I spent years reading and rereading the Bible. I studied fucking Greek and Aramaic words. It used to matter to me. Anyone that would even remotely hint that Islam is no more dangerous than Christianity is worse than wrong. Okay, and this is where I need to point out, I think, a pretty fundamental flaw with a lot of the responses. I didn't say that Islam and Christianity was as bad or worse as each other. I didn't say that. At no fucking point did I ever come anywhere near stating that fucking Islam was just as bad as Christianity or Christianity was just as bad as Islam or any of this shit. What I did say was that they were as stupid as each other. I did say they were as retarded as each other. And I'll fucking stick by that shit. I mean, you can feel free to argue with me that a fucking zombie deity is somehow infinitely more believable than midnight flights on a flying fucking pony. You're not going to be able to convince me that one is worse than the other. They're both fucking stupid. And pointing out that they're both equally stupid is not the same thing as saying one is more dangerous or as dangerous as the other. Well, we continue. You're spreading a very dangerous apathy that will get people killed. Really? Really? Dude, look at what I was responding to, please. I mean, for fuck's sake, just replace every reference with Islam and Muslims with the word Jews. Just in your head. Just watch it and do that. And see how well the shit sits, okay? Why not make your next video about how vaccines cause autism? Well, partly because I don't believe it, and partly because my name isn't Paul Joseph Watson. So, on we go. Are you really advocating for 12-year-olds having sex changes? Oh, for fuck's sake, here we go. What are the stats of suicide after having a sex change? You don't know, obviously. Now, this is a fucking talking point that you hear constantly. It's Milo Yiannopoulos' favourite. What people don't realise, though, is that it's fucking retarded. What you're doing is comparing the suicide rates of people who had that surgery with people who would never ever want or go anywhere near that fucking surgery. It tells you absolutely nothing. Now, if you had rates of suicides among people who did and did not get the surgery, and then compared them, then maybe you've got a point. But simply saying, oh yeah, these people got the surgery and they killed themselves, doesn't mean anything. Because firstly, you don't know whether or not they would have done that anyway. And secondly, you don't know how many people killed themselves as a result of not being able to get the surgery. Now, as for the 12-year-old thing, what I'm saying is I don't know what it's like to have that experience. You, I take it, don't know what it's like to have that experience either. So who the fuck are you or I to tell somebody who is going through that experience that they can't get the help that they apparently need because it makes us feel weird? Also, another thing that's worth pointing out here, Black Pigeon Speaks gave the impression in that video, and I should have pointed this out at the time, but I didn't think to do it because it seemed fucking obvious to me, but apparently not. He gave the impression that 12-year-olds were getting surgery. That is complete and utter bollocks. That doesn't happen. The other stuff that can be reversed to at least to a large extent, that's what we're talking about. Nobody is fucking cutting fucking 12-year-olds' dicks apart and then turning them inside out and stuffing them back up them. No. If you want that shit done, you have to be 18. At which point, it's nobody's fucking business. Moving on. You don't fool me with your tone of authority. You have no idea how badly I cracked up. I wish I still had the first take of this, because I fucking was crying when you said that. I have had a great many things said about me before, but I have never, ever heard anything like that. You don't fool me with your tone of authority. I may keep that one for prosperity. Because I call me crazy. I never realized I had an authoritative tone. I have never been irritated with you ever. Oh shit, man. At least that makes one of us. This is crazy. Yeah, you're going to tell me you don't give a fuck what I think. When have I ever given anyone the impression that I'm that guy? I mean, I know I don't respond to comments as often as I ordinarily would, but that's because every single fucking time I get one, it pops up on my fucking phone or my tablet, and I see them there, and it's like, I'm not replying on a fucking phone or a tablet. Also, another thing I need to point out, you lot are a bunch of trolling motherfuckers, because you all fucking seem to comment at like either the middle of the night or first thing in the morning. Although, to be honest with you, it's not that bad. I mean, fucking, like a couple of weeks ago, Sargon retweeted a tweet of mine, and that was fucking ridiculous. That he retweeted it, and it was like the middle of the night, and my phone was just going beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. And it's one of the points where, you know, you're too lazy to get up and fucking do anything about it. So I was just saying, like, hey, it'll stop. Fucking never stopped. Never fucking stopped. All goddamn night. Ugh. You know what, though? I hope Sargon realizes the potential for trolling that he really has. Because I don't think he appreciates it. If I was him, I would be sending people to retweet my friends all the fucking time just so that they could never get any fucking sleep. I'll be like, motherfucker, if I ain't sleeping, you ain't sleeping, son of a bitch. Anyway, sorry. Distracted there. What are we saying? Fine, I'm under no illusion that I am anyone to be listened to. Ah, come on. I know you're going way the fuck out on a limb here, and it's obviously you who are very pissed off and emotional. Alright. I don't give a fuck about Black Pigeon. You're wrong. Again, example of where I was wrong would have been good there, but I was saying the same shit when I was a Ron Paul supporter. I was dead wrong. I don't know what you didn't even say. What was I saying? Islam does literally hate us. Okay. They hate you. And this is a very subtle thing, but I'm hoping to direct you to it. Maybe you realize this. But when you said Islam does literally hate us, there's nothing you can really argue about a statement because it's true. I mean, you can take issue with the fucking wording, but the sentiment is basically there. There are tons of fucking passages in the Quran where it's all about, like, kill the fucking infidels and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I see the point you're making and I agree. That is a perfectly valid point to make, and I will concede that point even in my newfound fucking capacity as defender of the Islamic faith, somehow. But then you went over that, and then you said, they hate you. And it's a very subtle thing. It's so subtle, I wonder if you know what you did. But you went from criticizing the religion, the culture, the belief system, the text. You went from directing your scorn at that to, in one word, the people. Now, if you want to say Islam hates you, I'm like, all right, I guess I can kind of see what you're saying with that. You want to say Muslims hate you, I have to say, well, hang on a minute, who the fuck are you to speak for all Muslims? Including the Muslims who are friends of mine. How do you think you're in a better position to talk about the frame of mind of people that you don't know, but I do know personally, based on nothing more than them identifying themselves as Muslims? See, that's the ground you give up when you switch from Islam to Muslims. Again, am I defending Islam or am I arguing for better arguments? I don't know. I've lost all track myself. I dare you to lie to me and tell me you've read one word in the Quran. Didn't we go over this already? Well, yeah, dude. I have. I read more than one word. I've read all of them. And I've also been told that that counted for absolutely fucking nothing because I didn't read it in the original Arabic. So I'm going to go out on a limb and bet you know nothing about Islam. Nothing at all. Okay, think of... let me just drop this on you, right? If that was true, let's assume that was true. Even if that was true, would that affect any of the points that I made in any way whatsoever? See, now it's an hour-long video. I can't remember every fucking argument I made, but I'm fairly sure it wouldn't. Because I wasn't arguing about Islam. What I was arguing about was prejudging people based on nothing more than biases and perceptions that you hold, which may have nothing to fucking do with them. How does somebody's knowledge of Islam affect that point? If you're one of the greatest fucking Islamic scholars of all fucking time, what would you know that would change that point? Because I'm drawing a blank. I really am. But continuing, nothing at all. I don't know if I already read that, but I like you 1,000 times more than that black pigeon shitheel. Well, okay. These paragraphs are going to be all over the place. I swear nearly everything you said in this video is straw man after straw man. Again, dude. I mean, citation would be good. Point me to a straw man and I could go like, okay, yeah, well, maybe you got a point there. Or I could point out what you're missing. I don't know, but because no one is pointing me to all this shit that I supposedly did. Poisoning the well, red herrings everywhere. Yeah, and not a drop to drink, right? Fuck, man. I have videos about Islam on my channel. Go ahead and shit on me next. Dude, do you really think Islam was the fucking subject of discussion there? Do you really think the thing that I sat there, watched that fucking video, and I was like, oh my god, he's attacking Islam. I will not be having this. And then launched into reply mode? No. It was a number of factors. First thing that irks me was when he started talking about who attributes our values. And I was like, well, that's a bit of a fucking retarded thing. Everyone knows that morality is subjective. So unless you believe in God, then you're going to say it's subjective. But oh, what if you do believe in God? Okay, now you got me interested. And then everything he said, just more and more, it just piled up. And I was just like, okay, let's start checking some of these sources. You know, the sources where he only shows you like a fucking headline and he doesn't tell you where the article comes from or anything. Apparently, he links it off on some fucking Google Plus page that, you know, no one's ever gonna fucking check on. And you start realizing that all of these fucking quote-unquote sources, they're just fucking articles from, like, the Daily Mail and shit. And a lot of them are just opinion pieces, and none of them really have any fucking substance to them. And he just keeps piling on and on and on and on and on. And then it gets to the point where you're like, how the fuck are so many people swallowing this shit? How? And now I don't just want to reply, now I feel like I need to reply. Now, are any of your videos so fucking hacky and full of shit that would provoke that reaction in me? No, not from what I've seen at least anyway. I mean, yeah, you're a bit more out there when it comes to the anti-theism stuff, but I can't exactly blame people for giving a fuck about stuff just because I seem to have lost most of mine. So, moving on, Islam is horrible. I agree. Fuck, you are so wrong. Okay. If I wasn't about to fall asleep right now, I'd make a video destroying you. Well, that would have been a fucking marvel to behold, I'm sure. But we have to move on to your third comment. Comment number 3. Fuck it. I alienated Turd Flinging Monkey the other day for saying he had no problem with Islam. I had no idea a gift like this video you just made was going to fall into my lap less than 24 hours later. I might even show how to animate too. Fuck, man. This entire video was an emotional response you mined for anything to corroborate your position. So obvious that you spent a few hours desperately looking for anything you could use to fool 1,000 people that you know what the fuck you're talking about. Maybe they're idiots. I'm not. Okay. See, again, you didn't point out anything. Like, nothing. I can't do anything with that statement, dude. Like, all I can do is just look at it and go, like, huh, he's a bit pissed off. And that's it. That's all. That's the only reaction I can have to that, because I can't respond to any of it. And I mean, to be honest with you, across 3 comments, I mean, I'm the one doing the work to respond to this shit, because anyone else would probably read that and just go like, yeah, okay, I don't know what he's talking about there. He's not referencing anything there, blah, blah, blah. Like, the only point in all this shit where I can clearly see a point that I made that you took issue with when you said, are you really advocating for 12-year-olds to have sex changes? And it confused me, because I didn't think it would be that controversial. So then I went back and I watched my video again, and I was so focused on the shit that I was saying that I neglected what Black Pigeon Speaks was saying, and then I realized where the discrepancy was. A lot of people heard him say that 12-year-olds are getting bits cut off their body, and they naturally thought I was like, yeah, sure, 12-year-olds should, of course, be able to decide to get fucking bits of themselves hacked off. Had I understood that at the beginning, I would have made sure to point out clearly for everyone that Black Pigeon Speaks was talking absolute fucking crap at that point. That doesn't happen, and that you need to be over 18 to get that surgery. See, stuff like that helps me. Like, that I can work with, but, like, the rest of it? I mean, what do I even say, really? So, let's see who's next. Okay, next up, Anthony Bailey. I have to agree with unauthorized expression and fuck Google Plus here. You have a very clear beef with Black Pigeon Speaks, and let's be fair, he is a prick. Well, I'm glad you think so. I'm also really baffled by the whole beef thing, but whatever. But your defense of Islam is a little disgusting. Where did I defend Islam? Okay, moving on. I think we've already gone over this stuff a lot. Rape has nothing to do with their culture. You really think that? Oh, okay, now here's the thing. You seem to be under the impression that Islamic culture is a single fucking entity. It isn't. Just like Christian culture isn't a single entity. Yes, there are Islamic cultures. Turkey is an Islamic culture. Iran is an Islamic culture. Pakistan is an Islamic culture. But they are not the same culture. They may all be Islamic, but they are not the same culture, because Islamic culture isn't one single thing. The same way that France, Italy, and the United States of America are all Christian cultures, but they are not the same. What I did was clearly say the people coming to these places from Syria did not come from a culture which is accepting of rape. And despite me saying Syria, you heard Islamic. This isn't about defending fucking Islam. This is just plain fucking logic. You wouldn't assert that countries which come from a Christian culture are the same. You wouldn't say that the fucking UK is the same as the USA, despite having a very similar heritage and a shared language. You wouldn't feel comfortable saying that they're basically the same place because you know better. So why then do you feel comfortable basically asserting that all of these wildly different cultures are the same by virtue of the fact that they're Islamic? Moving on. You are really happy saying that a culture who equates a woman's word to be that of 1/3 of a man's does not demean women in the eyes of men. No, I'm not saying that. And plus, again, where specifically are you talking about? Because if you talk about Afghanistan, then yeah, you're pretty much spot on. But if you want to talk about fucking Syria, that's not the way it worked there. It doesn't work that way in Albania, Kosovo. I don't think it works that way in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So, yeah. Don't be lazy. If you're going to make a point, fucking make a point. You can't make half the point and then just rely on everyone else to fill in the blanks for you. You defend the Mayor of London because he was held on terrorist charges. Oh, fuck me. Is that what the impression you got? What? Where the hell do you even begin with that? No. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, was not held on terrorist charges. A man named Amar Shakar, or is it Shakar Amar? I can't remember. But basically, whatever the fuck his name is, he moved to Afghanistan in, I think, 2001. When he was there, war obviously broke out as a result of 9/11. So he and his family wanted to get the fuck out. When they tried to get out through Pakistan, he was caught by bounty hunters who turned him over to American authorities, stating that he was a fucking Al-Qaeda operative. Now, most people have probably already spotted the fucking flaw there. You have a bunch of people who are being paid to capture people and just say that they have something to do with Al-Qaeda. And of course, what does the person who was captured have to say about it? They of course say, I have absolutely fucking nothing to do with Al-Qaeda, which, unfortunately, is the kind of thing someone who had a lot to do with Al-Qaeda would say, isn't it? So, that's what happened. He spent 14 years in Guantanamo Bay getting tortured and beaten and all kinds of fucking shit without charge. And one of the few people who was there fighting his fucking corner was Sadiq Khan, the London mayor. And what does Black Pigeon Speaks do with this information? Oh, he strips it down to its bare essentials, of course. As far as Black Pigeon Speaks is concerned, all you need know is that Sadiq Khan is a Muslim, and he advocated to release another Muslim who is accused of terrorism and was in Guantanamo Bay. Meanwhile, I'll just animate this black flag of jihad waving behind him, and I'll just let you make your own fucking conclusions. And apparently it works a fucking treat. It works so well that even as I'm explaining why it's bullshit, you seem to be left with the perception that it was a mayor of London who was held on terrorist charges. Like, seriously, I thought he was just fucking annoying and full of shit, but if Black Pigeon Speaks has that kind of ability, then he's just pure fucking evil. Okay, and you finish up. Not all cultures are created equal, and placing restrictions on a group of people who will happily kill other people and themselves should not cause people to white knight for them. Well, fuck. Let's hope nobody in the culture that you belong to ever does anything to warrant anyone saying the same thing about you, eh? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, everyone else just had like little points here and there. For instance, this Griffin Darkbreed, Black Pigeons and neoconservative, blah, 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 yep. Robert Flurry, around 25 minutes, you seem to be saying that adolescents have enough cognitive wherewithal to decide if they should surgically transition to the other gender. So yeah, right, people did get that impression. I've already been through it, but I'll go through it again, because, you know, if there's one thing I've learned from this, is that repetition is not overrated. Point one, I didn't say that adolescents have enough cognitive wherewithal to decide if they should surgically transition to the other gender. I said that they, firstly, won't be making that decision alone. They'll be like fucking doctors. I know for a fact, like, minimum to even get the process started, you have to have like fucking 2 independent therapists sign off on it, and then you have to go through the doctor's stuff, and then you need to go through a load of shit, man, to get this done. It's not a fucking simple procedure. It takes fucking years. But the most important point of it is that surgically part, that can't happen to a kid at all. That's why I didn't bring it up, because it's not an issue. And I kind of blanked on it when what's his name, Black Pigeon Speaks brought it up. But you can't get the surgery until you're 18. Until you're a legal adult, you can't get it done regardless of whatever fucking measures you want to take. So for me, that wasn't even an issue. But a lot of people picked up on what he said and then what I said, and then they thought that I was advocating for fucking, you know, stupid shit. So yeah, hopefully that clears that bit up. And anything else? Is Black Pigeon a white nationalist? Who the fuck would know? The really interesting thing is, if he was a white nationalist, do you think he'd tell you? Yeah, you're never gonna get a satisfactory answer to that question. Oh, hang on. Damn, never had you pegged as an Islamophile. Made it 20 minutes, can't take any more. Maybe I'll go watch some Black Pigeon Speaks videos. Well, you have fun with that, buddy. And on that bombshell, I think I'll call it a night.